y'all? My name is Kennedy Scales. This is Everything Ken, the show. Hey y'all, I'm so glad you guys are back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just let you guys know that today is the last episode of my Valentine's Day love series, and we're ending it with a big hit off with not one but two special guests that are here at Hampton University. Okay, and not only that, but they're here to talk about relationships, right? And relationships, not only that, but a deep dive into relationships. We're going to be hitting on certain little points about relationships, that conversations need to be had and talked about when it comes to your dating life. Now, I hope you guys had an amazing Valentine's Day. Hope that even if you didn't have Valentine, that you still had a great day. You're able to do some, maybe like some self-care routines, or spend time with your friends, have a little Valentine, maybe even go and hang out with a organization. Me personally, my boyfriend and I are long distance, so I won't be seeing him till the weekend, but I was able to go spend time with one of my college girl organizations friends. We went and we had girl talk, whatever, things like that, so it was great. But yeah, once again, I hope you guys had an amazing Valentine's Day, and I know you guys are super excited to see our two guests, which are Jessica and Nia. They are two seniors here at Hampton University that were willing to come out and talk to you guys today. Okay, I am so excited for you guys to hear the interview and hear what they have to say. But before we get into it, we know we have to do our weekly recap. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. So first, I want to talk about Rihanna. Yeah, Rihanna. Homegirl is pregnant. Now, last episode I was talking about her performance and how amazing it was, but she not only surprised people with her performance, but surprised people a few minutes later on after confirming that she's pregnant with her second child. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for her. I'm so glad for her and A$AP Rocky. Congratulations. I hope nothing but health and blessings for them too, and for the baby. I'm so happy for her, y'all. And the crazy part is she even said that she was a little bit like hesitant to even like perform because, you know, she was pregnant. And not only that, but she hasn't performed in a long time. And so I think that she just felt in her spirit like, I can do this. And she even mentioned in an article that she felt like after having a baby, she could do anything, which I agree with. I feel like if you have a baby, you can do anything. That has got to be a lot of pain. So I know that she went up there and did her thing. The baby was probably tossing and turning in her stomach like this the whole time. But congratulations, A$AP Rocky and Rihanna, on your new baby. We cannot wait to see if it's gonna be a boy or a girl. We have to see. We have to wait on that, right? So I'll make sure to come out with an update on if it's gonna be a girl or boy, because of course we're all waiting on. We want to see if it's a girl or boy. But once again, Rihanna, you did an amazing job, even, you know, breaking it down, singing your heart out, even being pregnant. But so what? It's not a surprise. She's Rihanna. Duh. Alright, and the second thing I want to talk about is something that's going on here in the local area of Hampton Roads. There's a club here in the Hampton local area that are trying to have a satanic club allowed. Okay, they want to have club meetings on their school campus. Now, many parents are disagreeing with it, saying that they're gonna withdraw their students from the school if this is allowed. Some are saying that other religions aren't allowed to have clubs and things like that, so why should they let there be a satanic club on campus of their school? And some parents say that they have every right to do so, because they can't just tell them no just because if they don't believe it. They can't tell them that they can't do it. So it's been a lot of different things going back and forth. It was also said that the school board and leadership group were able to kind of have a meeting and hear from both sides of people's aspects and their views of the situation, and that they're going to see how they can obviously please both sides. But at the same time, they said that they do say that they were to go through with letting them have meetings and having the satanic club on campus, that they will have to have security offers right there whole time, making sure nothing crazy happens, okay? But that's all I have for you guys, weekly recap. I know you guys are waiting for the real stuff. Let's go ahead and head into this amazing interview with two guests, Nia and Jessica. Hey guys, I'm back, and today I have two very special guests here from Hampton University. I have Jessica Walton and Nia Edwards. They're both seniors here at Hampton University, and they're gonna join us talking about relationships and getting more in depth about them and trying to kind of figure out, you know, what our generation can do better about relationships, trying to figure out, you know, how we might have some issues in relationships, just things like that. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce themselves. So who gets to go first? Everyone wants to go first.
I am Nia Edwards. I'm a 4th year here at Hampton, and I major in interdisciplinary studies and minor in leadership studies.
Hey everybody, my name is Jessica Walton. I am a graduating senior, finance major, mathematics minor from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. And then today we guys can kind of go back and forth. We'll speak up first, doesn't matter. But the first question is going to be for you guys. What are the different type of relationships that, you know, we have, you know, here today? And like, how do we express love in those relationships differently as well?
Well, obviously we have friendships, we have official romantic relationships, there are in-between romantic relationships, friendships that are also romantic relationships. It's really confusing, but I think the main difference is how vulnerable you allow yourself to be. Like, if you consider someone to be your best friend, it's probably likely that you'll give them more of yourself or more of, you know, your past. But if they're just a friend, it's probably more of a surface level or, you know, basic day-to-day activities. But in a relationship, I think, like an official romantic relationship, you give all of you or all that you can. And in the in-between spaces, I feel like that's up to people's, you know, up to their jurisdiction.
Okay, how about you, Nia?
For sure. I agree. I feel like I agree that the like bottom tier level is friendship, then there's like exclusive romantic relationship, and then hopefully engagement and then marriage. I think like with our age group, there's a lot more gray area in between every stage. But I think like just to be clear about where you are in your relationship with somebody, it just requires communication to like eliminate the gray area if you don't want it there.
Okay. And do you also mind hitting on why do you think that, or how do you think that relationships can affect people's daily lives as well? Like when you start dating, like dating someone, how can that really like change your schedule and like your daily life? Because now you're committing your time to somebody else. How can that affect you?
I think it just requires more of your attention. So like if you're in a space where work is your like top priority, at a point where like you can't really make room for other things in your life, then I don't want to say that I don't think you should be in a relationship, but it's something that you should take into account if you're considering like committing to someone. Are you going to be able to devote like as much attention to them? Not saying that they should be all of your like all your time, your attention should go to it, but like are you going to be able to manage your different responsibilities? Because a relationship is a responsibility.
Well, I was just asking, how do you think that like relationships can affect your daily life? You know, because when you start dating, you're single and then you go into dating somebody, you have to adjust some things. You know what I'm saying? How that can affect you?
I think it affects obviously your schedule. You have to make time for that person. You have to talk to them consistently. You have to consider them in more of your actions. Like if you want to go out with your friends at 2 a.m. I mean, you obviously can still do what you want to do, but you have to consider that person's feelings. You probably have to let them know. I think it's more of a holding yourself accountable for your daily actions as opposed to just going about your life, what you can do when you're single. But when you're with somebody, I think it's important to share, you know, your daily activities or whatever you're doing that they might want to know.
Okay, and this is a question for both of you guys. Do you guys think that our generation handles relationships good now these days, or do you think that we've kind of started to fall behind on like the classic, we buy you flowers, we take you out on a date and pick you up? Do you guys think that that's kind of changed over time, or do you think it's kind of gotten better? I don't know.
You want to go first, Nia?
I think, like I said earlier, there's a lot more gray area with our generation than there was with, I think, those that were before us. I think, now that you asked the question, I think social media could have a big part to play in that. Like, we have so much more communication methods now than there were in like previous times. So like if I were living in the 90s, and I mean they had phones, but like you don't have texting and stuff.
TikTok and Snapchat.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you do see someone, you want to make it clear where you stand. So like next time you see them, you know how to like act accordingly. I think now there's so many different methods of communication that it's easy to talk to somebody every day and not commit to them. So I don't know. I don't. Like when it comes to our generation questions, it's hard to respond because like I can't speak for the whole generation, but from the conversations that I have had and the experiences I've had personally, I think that there is a lot more gray area with our age group than there were like in generations previous.
Okay, that's good.
To go along with what you said about us having so many different avenues of communication, I think along with that we also have so much access to so many people all the time. So I think that, you know, being able to see whoever you want to see on their Instagram story or Snapchat story or whatever they're doing, you can see them at any time. People find it harder to choose one person. And I think that limits our generation from getting to know people on a genuine level and from, you know, being able to trust that, oh, this person is interested in me, even if we're not officially together. It's them and I trying to figure out if we're going to have a future together. Now you have to wonder, oh, are they talking to my friend? Are they talking to this other person? Because there's so much discretion going on as well when it comes to relationships. Nobody wants to be putting their business out there, which I do respect. But it also causes a lot of difficulty when it comes to trusting somebody and to really opening up. So I think our generation struggles with that for sure.
I agree. Social media definitely has like played a role in how our relationships play out, especially when it comes to like you know, like, oh, you commented on her post, or did you text them, like not being able to trust, like you were saying, like what people are really doing behind the screen. So, well, my next question for you guys are: do you guys
respond to?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think to Jess's comment, like on our campus especially, there's a lot of like lack of trust when it comes to relationships. Like from our freshman year, I was hearing a lot about like the typical Hampton man and like you seeing different guys outside different girl dorms and stuff with different people. So I think like I can't speak for every college campus, but I think on Hampton's campus especially, there's a lot of like, especially because we're a smaller school, there's a lack of trust. Like if you do enter a relationship with somebody on campus, you're gonna do a little bit more research than I think you would with like the average civilian.
Okay, I agree. I agree with that too. Especially here in Hampton, I hear that a lot as well. People have a hard time trusting, especially the girls. I hear having a hard time trusting the men, and it goes both ways because I've seen both sides. But speaking of men, I was gonna go into the next question. Do you guys think that men play a big role on whether a relationship continues to be romantic or be special? I was just talking to a friend the other day. She was like saying how she feels like her man is like getting too comfortable. So do y'all think that men struggle with that, and when they do get comfortable, they have a hard time keeping it spicy, keeping it fun, keeping it interesting?
That's a good question. I'd say because men are expected to lead relationships, even like with our generation moving away from traditional values and stuff like that, men are still expected to ask if someone wants to be their girlfriend or ask them on a date, you know, open the door, chivalry type stuff. And when it comes to marriage, they're expected to be the ones to propose. So I do think that leads a lot of women to follow the man's lead, especially when it comes to like a situationship where you're not official with the person. You want to see where they're coming from, because at the end of the day, most women allow the man to make the choice for whether or not the relationship happens. There are women who ask men to be with them, and you know, I think that that's a choice that people make, but I'm not knocking anybody's choice. I'm all for progressive, but it's just, I think that men should take that responsibility on, because there are responsibilities that we have in a relationship too that make it work better. And more often than not, my dad always told me, if you don't like a guy at first, you can grow to like him. But if he doesn't like you at first, he never will. And I don't know if that's completely true for every man, but I've never seen it be
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's very true.
And now that you say that, I never thought about that like in that way. Wow, And then like speaking of like, or did you have something to say too, Nia? No,
I agree. I second everything that was
Just
said.
like, yeah.
I think even if a woman shoots her shot first, I think it's the man's job to ultimately pursue her like through the relationship. Not to say that it shouldn't be mutual, but I think because traditionally men are the ones who lead in relationships, like it's their job to kind of determine the direction that they're going in. Because for a lot of women, like if they don't see their guy being proactive, like it's dead. The relationship is not going any further because in a lot of women's minds, like if he's not willing to, then there's definitely somebody else who will.
That's true. That's true. Especially like, you know, like there's a song. It's like I think it's by Money Long, and she was saying like something about like what men won't do and somebody else will do for you. So I feel like men have to understand that if you're not gonna do what you're gonna do for a girl, like another man's gonna come by and do it, maybe more mature. And speaking of roles, I'm glad you mentioned that. So do you think there's just like certain roles that women and men play in relationships, but when it comes to dating, kind of people always have like visualization of how it looks when you're married, but when you're just dating, do you think there are just roles that exist, like when you're dating when it comes to a woman and a man?
Well, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
I think that the role is to display who you would be in a marriage. But yeah, I will cook my boyfriend a meal every once in a while. But it's not an expectation every day or a consistent thing. But I do think that it's important to show somebody love in the way that you want to show them, or that you feel as a woman could be a duty or something that you just want. And I think that men should reciprocate that.
Okay.
So,
What you mean?
I think it all depends on like, I think communication is very important because I would like to think that there are gender roles in a relationship, but there are relationships where like women don't want to cook and like the man wants to take that role.
I can't cook, so I don't need to
Right, or like she can't do laundry, but he knows how to. So I think it just depends on the personality of the two people who are in a relationship. And just the communication, because if there's an expectation that you do a certain thing but you can't really fulfill it, even in your femininity or your masculinity, like just communicate what works for you. But like Jess was saying, I think that even though you do show qualities like in your dating relationship, I don't think that you should be performing as a wife in your day-to-day, because then I think that's when people become comfortable sometimes in some situations, because if you're showing the qualities that they can get, like if you're showing wife qualities at the girlfriend stage for too long, like on a consistent basis, then I feel like in the man's head it's like, well, why would I like commit to something if I can already get it without the commitment? And everybody likes freedom. Everybody likes to do what they want to do. But
I definitely agree with that. Like you can give a little sneak peek. You don't have to show.
Don't give it all. Let them work for it, earn it. I definitely agree. And I guess like even come off of that, like what are some ways you guys think to have a successful and healthy relationship? Would it be, like you said, giving them a sneak peeks of those roles? Would it be, you know what I'm saying, like giving them your all? How do you keep it successful? How do you keep it healthy? Because after a while, relationships sometimes do start to go downhill. They get toxic. They get annoying, get bored. The relationships are not easy. It's gonna always, you're gonna have arguments, you're gonna have hard times. So how do you keep it successful? How do you keep it healthy?
In my experience, it's been really hard. Like whenever me and my boyfriend have a disagreement, it's really the communication style and the vulnerability that we both decide to display that determines whether or not the conversation ends up being effective or that the problem gets solved. And I think in order to keep a relationship healthy, you have to consistently humble yourself and acknowledge that, you know, no one can read your mind. Nobody has to do A, B, and C just because you think that that's what should be done. If they genuinely don't know, then they genuinely don't know. I think it's about grace, being vulnerable, which is hard. Like I thought I was good at that, but I'm actually really not. And I had to learn that about myself. So introspection as well, like understanding where you fall short accepting them where they fall short, and working together so that you guys can highlight each other's strengths and still maintain positive communication with each other. Positive communication is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Nia?
What was the question again?
I was just asking, you know, like, how do you make sure that your relationship stays successful and healthy?
I have no comment. Yeah.
You just want to agree with Jessica again? Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and drop the big bomber.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys think that sex in a relationship is important in order for it to be successful, or do you think that it's 100% okay to not be sexually active and still have a healthy relationship? Do you think that's possible?
Like a dating relationship?
Yes.
I think you go first.
I think like in a married relationship it's definitely required to like have a healthy, the question was a healthy relationship and successful relationship. Yeah, I believe that. I think that in your dating or your friendship talking, whatever we like to call it,
situationship.
That's really what it is. Situationship stage. I don't think it is absolutely necessary to keep the relationship healthy. I think that there are other ways to like grow your relationship, things like dating or like just trying to do different things together and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it definitely should be spoken about and like a topic of discussion so that you're both on the same page as to what your expectations are.
Yeah, I was gonna say something along those lines. Like, in a marriage, it's definitely important because it's a demonstration of connection. You know, I think that is important for married couples to have, and it has become important for a lot of unmarried couples in our generation specifically. But sometimes I wonder if it's important for the right reasons. Like, are you genuinely doing it because you want to feel connected to this person? Or is it just a physical chase of like pleasure? And once again, I'm not knocking anybody's choices. But what I will say is that if you're constantly chasing a physical pleasure, will you ever really feel fulfilled if you're just...
That's good.
So my conclusion would be it's not necessarily important for a non-married relationship. Does it happen? Of course. But it's not necessary in order for you to develop a bond with that person or to feel like you can trust them and actually have the strong connection that you should be looking for in the foundational steps of your relationship.
Well, thank you guys. My last question for you to wrap it all up really is how would you guys say you know that you're in a relationship? I feel like some people sometimes will assume, or they just like, we're just dating, and nobody really said they were dating, and nobody really asked the other person. Like you said, the man never asked, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? It's never specified. So like, when is it a good time for you and your partner to consider you guys in a relationship, and when is it important to clarify that with your significant other as well?
I think it's really challenging again in the generation that we live in this social media era, because for a lot of people they think like, I'll say for guys, they assume, well I won't say they assume, but a lot of men who I've interacted with assume that you putting the little heart thing on a girl's picture or you commenting an emoji or something, I've never assumed. I actually just recently learned like when people like your pictures and stuff like that and like order all that stuff, I didn't know that was supposed to mean that you like somebody. Like, what if you I like the picture? That's what that means. But I prefer like that somebody say it with their chest, because it just and then I think also there's this like there's a thing where people can fantasize about like a relationship and they assume that the other person likes them and there's not really any interest there. So I think that people need to speak with their chest, men in particular, because usually I think that they're the ones who pursue the woman, and in most cases I've seen like express interest first. So I think it just requires very clear communication, because the emojis and the heart buttons and stuff like that.
They gotta go, Nia. Nia said they gotta go, y'all.
Like, I think if people like your pictures, they can like your pictures, but that doesn't mean that they like
we're a thing, right? Yeah.
So I mean, like, you can take heed to that and assume, but it doesn't mean that you're like in any type of talking stage with somebody or like a basic romantic relationship. I think you need to speak up with your chest and use your words like we were taught when we were in preschool. That's what I think.
Okay, what about you, Jess?
Yeah, I would never consider myself to be in a relationship if that question was not asked.
Okay.
Like, if you didn't say, will you be my girlfriend, I'm assuming we're friends.
Right.
And I will continue to assume we're friends.
Buddies.
Unless that question is asked. Or even like when it comes to talking, I know everybody hates the what are we question, but if that's not asked, then I'm going to assume we're acquaintances. So,
I have a question. So, like, I think for women, it's hard when you're like, suppose you're talking to a guy and you've been talking for a while, and you know, like, I feel like it's a pride thing. Like, a lot of women don't want to, and I don't necessarily think we should, but like, a lot of women don't want to ask the guy like the question of what are we. Like, it's kind of the expectation that he initiate the conversation first. So if you're really interested in somebody, I'd love to hear your thoughts too, Kennedy. If you're really interested in somebody, but like the relationship is not progressing as you would expect it to, like, how do you save yourself like the trouble of wasting your time, but also just be clear about where you are so that you don't like sabotage a potentially successful relationship?
Yeah, I think personally, I think that it's just like a matter of just communication again. Like Jessica was saying earlier, like you have to be willing to sit down and just ask like the question. And I think if you are dating this person, you've been dating them for a while, whatever, and you want to check back in and like see what's going on, because you may feel like it's like kind of like going downhill. I think nothing is wrong. I think if it's the right man, first of all, he'll be willing to sit down and have the conversation with you in the first place. Like, you shouldn't feel like uncomfortable or afraid to even communicate that with them. So I think that for one, if you can't even do that, then that answers your question. Like, I feel like this is just not going to work then. But I think that if the man really wants it, he'll sit down with you guys to communicate, talk it out, and they should be able to, go on from there. So
I'm a firm believer in if he wanted to, he would. Because when men want to do something, it gets done.
It gets done.
If he wanted to be with you, he would ask. If he wanted you to be his girlfriend, you would be his girlfriend. If you want to be his girlfriend. So, I do feel for the women who are waiting and who feel slighted because they haven't received the question. But in order to combat feeling, sad or disheartened or like you're unworthy of it or something, I think it's important to maintain focus on yourself until you are given the opportunity to be in a relationship, or until you pursue an opportunity to be in a relationship yourself. I think that focusing on yourself, even though that's like a cliche statement, it gives you...
But it's true, yeah.
Yeah, it gives you internal satisfaction, and you're not just sitting around waiting for somebody, so...
For sure.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys, thank you so much for watching today. Thank you guys for coming out and talking to us about, relationships, taking a deep dive into it. We kind of picked different areas of it, went in depth, kind of gave you guys some advice. Whether you're a man or a woman, hopefully it helped. Once again, this is Jessica, this is Nia. Y'all haven't put in y'all's Instagram, some of your Instagrams are, they can follow you guys.
My Instagram is nia.skye.
Mine is JESSICAAFAAYE.
Okay, well, you guys go follow them. I'll put it down below in case y'all didn't get that. But yeah, I'll put down below. You guys go follow them, please, after this video. And I'm sure they would not mind giving you guys any advice around campus or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming again. It was great, and I really do love how everything has tied in together. I love how you even brought in the focus on yourself part, because that was the very first episode of my series, was the single life, and my friend Logan really highlighted on the focusing on yourself, the loving yourself. And so I think, once again, like, if you don't have that, then like you really won't be able to do anything we just discussed today in the first place in a relationship. So yeah, thank you guys so much once again for watching, and we're going to go on to the next part of my show. Bye, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. I'm so glad I was able to come and give you guys advice. Once again, this is the last part of my series, Valentine's Love series. This is the last part of it. And they were able to close out the big banger and really give you guys a lot of good advice on what to do in relationships and how relationships work and things like that. Jessica is in a relationship, so I really did want her to come and kind of give her idea of, how she handles things. Nia is at the time single, but I was glad that she was able to come as well. I knew she had a great heart and was really good at communicating her ideas and her advice. She gives me advice all the time. They are both my bigs here in Hampton. They have been amazing support here at Hampton University. They have been nothing but leaders and older sisters to me, honestly. So thank you so much. And they're also in the ministry team. So if you're interested in joining the ministry team, please follow down below the Instagram and come to our Wednesday workshops. They are amazing. Once again, thank you guys so much for coming. I love this so much. Thank you guys for closing out this series of, you know, our relationship advice, a deep dive into relationships. It was great. Thank you. But of course, before we head out, we have to go into our happy ending for the day. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Okay guys, I am super psyched to tell you guys this. Disney has officially confirmed that they're going to release some new movies, okay? There's going to be a Frozen 3, a Zootopia 2, and a Toy Story 5, okay? The release dates for these movies have not been set yet, but they have confirmed that they are going to go through with these movies, and they will be coming out as soon as possible, okay? I will, of course, continue to keep you guys up to date if something ever comes through. When they do have a release date, I will obviously come back and let you guys know what's popping, locking with those movies. But I am super excited, especially excited to see Frozen, because I saw in the picture she has like a little bob going on. So I want to see what she got going on. I'm excited. I'm really also excited to see Toy Story. The Toy Story we all know is a classic. If you're an early 2000s baby, you know Toy Story 5 is what is about to be. It's about to be good, okay? Toy Story 5, Toy Story in general is a classic, and I am really excited to see that and see how things are going to change or be the same or be different. I'm just really excited to see all the movies, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, that's what I wanted to just let you guys know. Keep your eyes and ears open for these movies to drop soon, because Disney has definitely and has for sure confirmed that these will be coming out as soon as they can get them out. Okay? Thank you guys so much. I see that you guys really enjoyed the series that I had. I got a lot of DMs, a lot of compliments, so I'm going to continue to try and do some more series as well as that, to try and keep some good conversations sparking and give you guys some advice. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to stay tuned, okay? My name is Candy Scales once again, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.